And the 3 major urban projects, again, sponsored by EU. So you can imagine EU, they get a lot of funding for that. And the Dublin, the Irish urban governance is characterized by centralized. So it caused severe local competition because local doesn't have too much power. So instead they develop their own policies. So they are competing with housing developments. So that's the reason they are really sprawl. And the sprawl is now in a radius of 80 kilometers, but not with sufficient public transport. So just in some ideas, it's very radius, one airport, and the airport is not connected by public transport to the inner city, even though it's really close. So from the airport, you can only take the bus or the taxi. And the thing is, the sub-centers, the smaller towns around it, they are all leading to the only center. You can see the connections among them are dead. And actually, I think that's one of the consequences. It caused a lot of issues because they only can lead to one direction. They are not connected properly to the other directions. So it also characterized very low density in both city center as well as in the periphery. I think it's 1/3 of the density in Berlin or Stockholm. And like I said, the US-owned company in Dublin, it's one of the highlights. All these digital giants, they all concentrate in Dublin, especially in this area and in the inner city area, the International Financial Service Center. That gives the economic boom. Actually, that's the main reason. So these are 3 locations of the 3 large urban projects: the Docklands, the Temple Bar, the cultural-led generations, and the digital hub. And this is the housing typology and the sprawl that I'm saying. It's characterized really low density, and they don't mix actually. They start to mix now, but before no. It's like rich suburbs are there, and the poor suburbs are like this. So it's very, very monotonous developments. And even now at this moment, they have inner city regeneration projects, but actually the typology is still very questionable because they only develop 2-bedroom apartments, most of them, and they are extremely expensive. 1 square meters, more than 5,000 euros. So it means that, well, families wouldn't live back to the center, and they have to stay in the cheaper periphery. No time? Okay, I'll speed up because then, well, this is Madrid. Madrid was sprawled sprawled before, but the improvement of public transport is fantastic. It's one of among the most efficient one now. Well. Here, I want to show you the large urban project of Madrid. The idea is, again, intensification of the core city. They have several approaches, but even though they don't sprawl in the sub-centers anymore, they have to carefully analyze the urban developments, and all these neighborhoods, the new areas, has to link either ideologically or methodologically has to link to the center. They have to make connections. They are not separate. They are not isolated developments. So that's one. That's why I forgot to mention Barcelona and Madrid. They are the 2 fast business growing. The business like to locate themselves in these cities. Okay, I think I have not much time left. Okay, Rhine-Ruhr. I think I'll go very fast. These are these 3. The last 3 are the lowest GDP growth per capita. Berlin is almost 0. Rhine-Ruhr areas 0.8. Milan 1, something like that. Compared with actually they are not bad, but compared to the major 20 cities among the case study selections, they are relatively less successful. Let's say. Okay. The Rhine-Ruhr case, because it's the only polycentric case in the case study selections, and even with this, you can see the north-south division. For instance, the north, especially in the Dortmund, in the Essen, and Bochum, these cities, they have difficulty transforming themselves properly into the modern service sector. While Düsseldorf, Cologne, and Bonn, they are all the south. They are already established in terms of the importance of service sector. So the north south divide. And in terms of transport, the Düsseldorf airport is actually the third biggest in Germany, serving 18 million passengers per year. However, if you look at if you put in the big picture, comparing the population, 12 million they have, actually the size of the airport is not really tremendous, and it's not very well connected, served to the other parts of the cities. So now that the problem is juridical fragmentation, because this area, they don't have regional government. They have, yes, in the Rhine, the Ruhr. So there are two different entities and a smaller government unit. So it becomes really difficult for them to have an integrated vision for the future developments. So it's quite standalone development. If you see the development projects, Düsseldorf is developing Mediahafen. Cologne also developing the same thing. And the good thing is, the interesting part is the north, because starting from a mining company and they have dramatic loss of the job, they use more soft approach like the Emmerich Park, planning by projects. And the idea is actually not to increase their competitiveness, but the idea is to stop getting from bad to worse. The idea, at least not going any worse. So they used a very interesting idea. Even now they have a European cultural capital, using these facilities to maintain, at least don't lose any job, or to properly train local people, for instance. Okay, very fast. Milan, very sprawl. The problem of Milan, the housing issue, as I already said that. The problem of Milan is they have excellent international airport. However, the airport is not connected to the most important train station in Milan, the central station. No. Instead, it connects to somewhere else, to the second. It's strange. So you don't connect it directly for the most important nodes. So Milan is characterized by a high car traffic jam and so on. It's one of the notorious and second, they don't have a large urban project strategy. They don't have a comprehensive, integrated under one framework. It's the same goes to Rhine-Ruhr. It also goes to Rhine-Ruhr area. All the projects are not under one comprehensive or integrated framework. Milan, it's more like piecemeal development. They do have projects, but it's more like each one is doing their own work. So even though they have now so-called meta district, aiming to use strategic their sectors, fashion and economic. However, it's only in the process project yet. It's not really realized into the physical implementations. So even though Milan has a good Gloria past, but it seems that the government now is lagging behind the current status quo in the market, and the fragmentation again in terms of governance. It's one of the really setback in Milan's development. Even the small medium enterprise is really prosperous in Milano, but there's really a huge gap between the governmental level and the business level. Okay, coming to the conclusion, very fast. Okay, almost finished. For the most successful cities in planning, they have a long-term tradition of proactive planning. They have consistent planning ideas, as we can see in Copenhagen, Munich, Stockholm. In terms of urban form, they have a dominant core center, monocentric, even though there's a discussion of polycentricity. But for me, polycentricity is a very vague term. It's not really concrete.